What sparked my interest in journalism is the fact that I love telling stories. I love finding out the facts. I like hearing the opinions. I like everything about news and writing and getting the story behind the story. The type of specialist writing I do zones in and focuses on real life. It's on the ground, walking the streets type of journalism, which I think historically mainstream publications didn't really tap into. It goes beyond the breaking news and essentially, I think, breaks it down into why this matters. It's about telling the story, even like, let's say we are in Hanover Park and unfortunately, as is often the case, there's a gang war breaking out. How do these people live with that? How do the children deal with when they are studying for exams and somebody's shooting outside? And mommy taught me when the bullets fly, I have to lay down on the ground, I have to cover my head, I have to not move until everything stops, How do you explain the reality of living on the Cape Flats to somebody living in Tableview, to somebody living in some other suburban area where they don't understand what it's like to live that way? It doesn't mean that because you don't see it, it's not happening. What relaxes me is cooking. I actually discovered this really late in my life because I couldn't chop an onion by the time I was 25. And then eventually I realized, I probably have to feed myself one day. So I like that no dish tastes the same the second time you make it. And even if you do the exact same thing, I don't know if it's maybe because you do the onions a bit longer or whatever, but something's always different. And my mom didn't teach me how to cook. The one thing that she did teach me was that, people say, you must always cook with love. Just add love to the pot and everything. Don't talk nonsense. All you need is leaf masala and crushed chilies. That's all you need. I do deal with a lot of heavy subject matter, like practically every day. I think what I do sort of to once I've had an especially hectic day, I love taking my dogs for walks. I've got 2 gorgeous dogs. I've got Henry, who's a little Jack Russell, and I've got George, who is a boxer. I like also, unpacking on my poor husband. Quite enjoys listening to my stories about how our work was that day. I hope he does. My family is everything to me. I have a very supportive husband who is my biggest fan, he is my biggest critic, he's my impromptu news editor, just all rolled into one. The people who really inspired me to do this and encouraged me when, as an 8-year-old, I have to mention this, I was 8 years old and I could read a newspaper. That's my dad's favorite story to tell people. My parents, they motivated me to do what it is that I dreamed of doing since I was a child. When I used to say to my parents, Mom, Dad, I'm going to be a journalist one day, my dad had this bed lamp. And then on Saturday mornings, he would shine that bed lamp's light on me and he would count me down and he would roll his imaginary camera and he'll be like, action. And I'll be like, I'm Tammy Petersen from Easter River reporting live. My parents never made me think that, sweetie, we can't afford that, or you can't do that. My dad was a sign writer and my mom worked in a printing factory. They worked hard. And so they always taught us the importance of education. And that's what most of the income, I suppose, probably went towards, sending us to good schools. My parents taught me the importance of hard work, of no matter what your job is, whether you are a sign writer, whether you work in the factory, whether you are a journalist. The concept is simple. Work hard and just get the job done and get it done properly. My career-defining moments, there have been many. We did a series on the gang wars a few years ago, and it all started with Auntie Martine, She was the woman who cleans the offices on the 15th floor where I work. Every day at 11, like clockwork, she would come around and empty our bins. And I would always make the time to chat to her. And, you know, whatever I was doing was never important enough that I'm now not going to have my 5-minute chat with Auntie Martine. And she told me about a son, Ashton. He was gunned down on June 11th, 2019 at 12. So from Auntie Martine's story, we developed a series of articles on the realities of life in Hanover Park, of children who see their neighbors, see them one moment and then see them lying dead or bleeding on the pavement. Auntie Martine was so open and honest in the telling of her story that afterward, when this whole series was published, and I mean, we won awards for it, it was so well received. And I told her, you know, Auntie Martine, this is because of you. Just the fact that you opened up about what happened to your child, which is the story of so many other mothers on the Cape Flats, so many. It really gave a personal experience, and that can try and help the next person understand just how tough life is. When you are poor, when you are forced to live somewhere where you don't have the option or the money to move anywhere else. Not everyone is always happy with the story, and which is essentially the truth, you know, so you don't like the truth. But I have a thick skin. I can take the criticism. I can take the you know, disparaging remarks, and you know, it's just what you do. It's not nice. It's not fun, but such is life, I suppose. Everyone can't always like you, especially as a journalist. Everybody shouldn't always like you, because if they do, you're probably doing something wrong. I'm not a people pleaser. I bring you the reality. If you don't like that reality, I hope it makes you uncomfortable enough to try and change something about it. That's what I do. I give you the truth. People's stories matter. Each story matters. It's just that some voices get muffled out and others get amplified because of the exposure that they get. My name is Tammy Petersen, and I'm a specialist journalist at News24.